I am live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third Illuminating the Sunday Stories. For those of you who have already been here, thank you for coming back. For those of you where this is your first time, go and grab a cup of tea. Right now, I just have hot water, but you want to get yourself a nice drink and a cup of tea. I always recommend that people get a journal, something that they can write in, and anything else that may help you feel comfy and cozy on a Sunday evening. So, a blanket or a candle, a fountain, whatever it is that helps you. Sometimes aromatherapy is nice as well. So we are back. What are we doing here? What is this thing that I'm doing every week? I'm recording from home again. You'll have to let me know how it is. It's so funny. In my office, the lighting's a little bit better. Everything is kind of set up already. So I'm trying to do it here because it's about 20 minutes to my office and 20 minutes back. So I thought, oh, I'll just do it from here. But I noticed that the quality may not be as great. So you'll have to tell me if it makes a difference. But I thought, hey, and if I'm helping you enjoy your Sunday, I'm going to help myself enjoy a Sunday and do it from home. So I'm doing this from home today. So just to remind those of you who are maybe tuning in for the first time, what this Illuminating the Sunday Stories is all about. So there's two things, right? One is it's very common that people experience anxiety on Sundays. Most of us start our week on Monday, right? So it's the day before. We're doing our best to get everything that we need to get done for the week. And just the anticipatory anxiety, just anticipating the week can be enough that it can just pull us out of any kind of peace we may have an opportunity to have on our Sunday. Suddenly, we are already stepping into the week and we're feeling anxiety, feeling nervous about getting everything done. So it turns out they call that now the Sunday Scaries. And I love it because it was my team, it was my virtual assistants that said to me when I was talking to them about doing this, they were like, oh, that sounds like the Sunday Scaries. And I hadn't heard of it, but so true. They exist, and statistically it's pretty common. It's close to, I think, 3 out of 4 people experience this stress and anxiety on Sundays before they go into the week. So that was one thing. Then combine that with a mission that I'm on. I have a podcast, I'm writing a book all about illuminating the stories that bind us. So I feel passionate about helping us all become more mindful of whatever story we have going on in our heads that's stealing us from joy, blocking us from experiencing a fully expressed life, stepping into our dreams. The most common story is not being enough, right? The I'm not enough story, which Brene Brown brought home for all of us, is more common than we realize. And so my hope is that in doing this regularly on Sundays, as regular as I possibly can, I can help others illuminate those stories before they go into their week. So in this case, it's illuminating the Sunday stories. So maybe you have a story of anticipatory anxiety, of not being good enough at a presentation. Maybe you have a story that you're not going to be able to get all the things that you need to get done. So whatever it is, my hope is that in this space we can illuminate it, because when you can name it, you can tame it. And when we illuminate it, we then know what we're working with, right? We're not bumping into it in the night. We know that we know what we know what we're holding in our heads, and we know what we need to help transform and change. We know what's holding us back. So if I can help others really get clear about what that is, I will be happy. But I do take it a step further, and I use very, very, very basic parts work from internal family systems, which is an approach that I absolutely love from Dr. Richard Schwartz. And it's the idea that we all have an internal family system. So within us, we have a perfectionist, we have a judge. I often, and if you've been on here already in the past too, I talk a lot about my scheduler, because I feel like my scheduler is really big on Sundays, right? We're about to go into the week. Am I going to be able to do all the things that I need to do? Anyway, there's lots of different parts. If you ever want me to go further into that, I can. Feel free to ask questions. But in this little Sunday thing that I like to do, I hope to bring to you just very, very basic parts work where you can also identify not only the story, the Sunday story that's binding you and keeping you from enjoying your Sunday and going into the week feeling confident and excited. It can also help you identify the part. And once we identify the part that may be holding this story or perpetuating the story, we then can find out more. We can find out what the intention and the purpose is of that part. And then we can also find out what that part needs in order to feel calmed. So that may sound like a lot if you've never heard this before. It may sound like a lot of psychobabble. I don't know. Whatever it is, you're welcome to write and comment about it, and we can go from there. But I believe that it has been proven to help us. So that is what I'm hoping to bring. Before I do any of this, I want to create a safe space. That's another thing I feel very passionate about, is creating a safe space for people to do this type of work. Oh, thank you, Alex. It's so good to have you on here. So in creating a safe place, first of all, it's confidentiality. So whatever is shared in this space stays in this space. And I know everyone finds that important. I invite all of you to come to this space with a willingness, an openness, a sense of wonder and curiosity. If you can, kind of asking your critics, and whether it's an inner critic or it's a critic of me and this work, just to kind of stay at the door, stay on the side. They're welcome to be around, but I don't want them to get in the way of you getting an opportunity to receive this service. On that note, coming in with some curiosity and compassion for yourself and the others that are on here, as well as non-judgment. Also very important that you have fun and you trust the process. One more thing that I have to say that I haven't said the last 2 times, I forgot, is that this is not a substitute for therapy. So this is a tool that I feel very passionate about sharing with others, and hopefully you can take advantage of it on Sundays whenever you can, and it can change the course of your Sunday. But if you need additional support, it's important that you find that with your therapist, or you find that outside of this space, because this is only a glimpse. This is only a tool, more like a teaching tool or a workshop. And it doesn't take the place of real therapy. So hopefully that makes sense. Anything else that anyone needs in order to feel safe in this space? Is there anything else that's kind of coming up for anyone? Okay. I'm going to keep going, but know that you can always, always comment or share something here, and I can work off of it. I know I talked already a little bit about what this is. I guess I want to just say, and maybe I said some of it already, but I'll just say again why we are doing it. I believe that Sunday Scaries are really robbing people of their joy and what they could experience for the rest of their Sunday and going into their week. So that is why we're doing it. The awareness is 50% of the solution. So no matter what, you will leave this more aware of whatever your Sunday story is or your Sunday scary is. And if we can get ahead of it and we can be aware of it, then it's not going to take over us as much. The other thing I always facilitate in this work is your inner wisdom. I'm always blown away by the wisdom that comes out just by me being a facilitator. Yes, I could throw a lot of stuff at you, and I will, and that's part of the collaboration. but you will be amazed at what you will find within you. You will be amazed at what inner wisdom lies within you. So, we're going to start off with some mindfulness. So, I'm going to do a mindfulness exercise that will help you become more aware of your Sunday scary, whatever Sunday scary you may be having. And then we'll pause, come back together. If anybody wants to share their Sunday scary, I can guarantee you someone else is having it or someone else has the same Sunday story. And I use those interchangeably. The Sunday story relates to the work that I do in terms of illuminating the stories that bind us, but it's the same thing as a Sunday scary. Then I am going to do some parts work. And my hope is that you can learn more about the part that may be hijacking your system on Sundays, or at least today, this Sunday, and then leave you with some sort of action item or tool that you can take going into your week. So on that note, let's start with a mindfulness exercise. So for those of you who have never done this before, it may seem strange, but it is rooted in science at how effective it is and how much it helps us get into our right brain, where our intuition is housed, where our sense of connection. It helps us access that quiet part within that could help you actually navigate the Sunday stories. So I could go on and on about the benefits of mindfulness. I think I just ask that you will trust in the process if you've never done it before. And if you have done it before, wonderful. And if you've done it before with me, then you know it really well. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about it, but I will guide you. So all you need to do is kind of just be open and participate and see what comes up, and know that my words are going to facilitate you through the whole process. So you will have my voice to kind of have guideposts to bring you through the whole practice. So just beginning by sitting comfortably in the seat that you're in. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to. I often do because I find that I'm able to focus more. So just taking a moment and doing whatever it is that helps you focus. So I'm going to close my eyes and just using your breath to help you transition into this practice. So just noticing what it feels like on the inhale, noticing what it feels like on the exhale, and just allowing yourself to feel the support of the chair you're sitting in, or if you're lying down, feeling whatever you're lying down, and just notice that support. That alone can also help you feel grounded. If your feet are touching the floor, just noticing your feet and feeling the floor against your feet. And if your feet aren't touching the floor, that's okay. Just bringing your attention to your feet can also take the energy that may be spinning in your head and ruminating Sunday scaries down to the ground. And that in and of itself can help calm you. So whatever it is that helps you, whether it's feeling the support of the chair, whether it's feeling your feet supported by the floor, or if it's noticing your breath, use whatever tool helps you feel like you are getting closer to the peace within. You are getting closer to a centered place. So right now I'm inviting you to connect with your breath. There isn't anything else that you need to do right now other than notice what you feel on the inhale and notice what you feel on the exhale. Oftentimes when we first get quiet, that's when our mind starts to race, or maybe an emotion comes up, or maybe a physical sensation. And if that happens, do not worry. You don't have to judge it as good or bad, right or wrong. You don't have to say, oh, I'm not doing this right. Forget it. I'm done. Just notice whatever the thought is without judgment. And then I'm going to invite you to take your attention back to your breath. And you may need to do it over and over again, and that's okay. There's no judgment. Just bring your attention back to your breath, noticing what it feels like on the inhale, noticing what it feels like on the exhale. And in this quiet space, I want you to just ask yourself right now what you are feeling. What are you feeling physically? And just noticing without any judgment what sensations you're feeling physically. Noticing any emotions that you may be having right now. And again, there's no judgment, just noticing and identifying. And next, I'm just going to invite you to bring up whatever Sunday scary or story you may be having. So just allowing it to come to the surface. Again, there's no judgment, just noticing whatever it is and just taking whatever information you can from it. So, whatever wisdom you just received about anything that we did, whether it was the physical sensations or it was some of the emotions that you're feeling, or the thoughts and the stories around your Sunday, just taking all of that with you, taking a moment again to feel yourself supported by the chair, noticing the quality of air around you. And when you're ready, you can come back to this space. And if I invite you, if you have a journal, to write down whatever came up for you. And then also I invite you, if you feel comfortable, sharing on here anything that came up for you when you took a closer look at what you were feeling physically, emotionally, and what your Sunday story or Sunday scary may be. And if there's anything else that came up for you while you did this exercise, I invite you to share it. I trust that all of it will be information. All of it can help whatever is happening. Trust the process. And I know it takes courage to share on here. So if you're feeling brave and you're feeling courageous, give it a shot. Okay. Someone may share, but what I've been doing this is the third week I've been doing this, is I just end up sharing kind of what came up for me. So I definitely was feeling some tension in my chest and in my jaw, which is two places where I will feel tension. So that's where I was feeling it physically. And in terms of emotions, I think I was just feeling a bit of, I guess it would just be like just care and anxiety, just about this. And Alex, I see that you felt pressure and overwhelm around your Sunday scaries, a shortness of breath in your chest as well. Yes, exactly. And I think for those of you who are out there, and if you want to participate and say, hey, I'm feeling that too, it just seems like it's a common place, right? And sometimes that's what's so interesting about using our breath to calm down, is that that's usually what feels the hardest. I am shocked sometimes when I try to connect with calm and I stop. And before I really focus in on my breath, I just notice what my breath is like. And it's amazing how it is exactly what you said. It is short. It's a short, it's not even I don't even think I'm getting to my diaphragm. It's like, I don't know how far my breath is going, but it's not far. And yet, if all of us right now take a moment and we just try to move through whatever we're feeling and just take a deep breath, like that alone can start to help us shift and can start to move some of the Sunday scary or anxiety. But it can be so hard because we're up here, right? We're up here in our heads, in the overwhelm and in the pressure and in the ruminating, not knowing what to do going into the week, or whatever is coming up. Does anybody have a story that came up? Can anyone share what maybe Sunday story or Sunday scary they had? I know it's so hard to like share on these platforms in more ways than one. Like I was saying, I think mine was centered around here, which is interesting. I feel like that happened the first week. I don't know if it happened the second week, but this one I was starting to have a little bit of that, like, oh, I hope this is good. I hope this is helpful. I hope I'm clear. It felt like my stories were around this. So I'll just continue to show up and do my best, and that's all I can do. But that's just an example, right? Sometimes our Sunday scary can be the present. Sometimes it's not the anticipatory of the future. Sometimes our Sunday scaries can be the past. It could be something that you experienced this weekend that was upsetting. It could be something that happened in this past week. And, you're not in the hustle and the bustle of the week anymore. And so things start to settle in. So all of these can be, contributing to a Sunday scary or a Sunday story. Does anybody want to share anything, any questions? You notice a story that on Sunday, I always feel like I can't get it all done. Fear around my abilities to accomplish. Isn't that the truth? And thank you for your courageousness and bravery and just sharing that. And I think it's like one of the most common Sunday scaries. It's just, and it goes back to the other word that you used. It's the pressure. It's this pressure of, are we going to get everything that we need to get done? Are we going to accomplish everything? And that like takes us completely out of the present moment. And suddenly we are just wondering if we're going to be able to get everything done. So on that note, that feels like a part. So for those of you who have never done parts work, you may be like, what is she talking about? But the part that, am I going to get everything done? And the anxiety around your abilities to accomplish it, that may be a time manager, that may be a perfectionist part, that may be like just a pure anxiety part. Whatever it is, I mean, some of you may even want to name it a Sunday Scaries part. Our parts are, yes, they can be the basic, like we have an angry part, we have a, scared part. It can be those basic things, but then I find that our parts we can have a lot of different parts as well. There can be an overwhelmed part. So whatever you feel comfortable with naming your part, I'm going to guide you in another mindfulness exercise where you are going to meet with this part. So again, you just can follow my voice and my guidance that will just help you meet with this part and see if we can get any information from it about what its intention is, what its purpose is, and what it needs in order to calm down and let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. So again, this goes back to me really truly believing that you hold a lot of wisdom around this. So my hope is that I can facilitate you in finding your own wisdom around it. And of course, I am here to collaborate with and help, go beyond that in any way that we can. Before I do a parts work mindfulness exercise, are there any questions? Does anyone have, like, what are you doing with this parts work? Or is there anything else you want to say before we move forward? Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and move forward with the parts work. And oh, yay, Luke, you're back. I'm so glad you're back. All the way from Ireland, right? So I'm glad you're back, and I hope you had a good week, and I hope you were able to connect with friends this past week. I remember that was your action item from last week. So hopefully you had a chance to connect with friends this week. But thank you for coming back. It's great to have you back. So Luke, you may remember from last week, we are about to go into a parts exercise. And one of our other participants has talked about a part of just feeling like I can't get it all done. I'm not going to be able to accomplish everything. So I encourage you to work with that, Alex and Luke, whatever part you have, and anyone else that's out there, just whatever part you have, what you're going to do is just begin by settling back into what we did in the beginning, where you just connect with your breath. And that's all you need to do right now. There is no pressure to do anything else. And even if your thoughts race or emotions come up or physical sensations, it's okay. Just bring your attention back to your breath. And the goal of this is to just connect with that quiet within. And it's amazing how our breath is a shortcut. Our breath is this really, really underutilized tool in many ways that is just a shortcut to calm, or a shortcut to peace, or to the quiet place within. So I always like to begin parts work with reconnecting with that quiet within. So no matter what may be coming up, you can just gently notice it. You don't have to judge it as like you doing this wrong, and just bring your attention back to your breath. And so in this quiet space, I want you to, first of all, notice when this part hijacks your system. So taking the part that is putting pressure on you, that you may not get everything done this week, and how are you going to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish? Just notice when that part is at the forefront, when that part is hijacking your system, where is it physically? So we talked about it being in the chest. We talked about it almost constricting our breath. So it's important, the first thing to do is to identify that, because then you know whenever you feel that physical sensation, it's a really good signal that that part is in the lead. So it's just another awareness exercise. So now in your mind's eye, once you've identified where that part is physically for you, I want you to imagine you take that part outside of your body. And I know for those of you who have never done this work before, you may be like, oh my gosh, what is Jen talking about? But just trust me, you're in your mind's eye, just imagine you're separating, which already is very empowering. Because remember, if we can create a distance from some of these parts that take over our system, we're already creating space, which can decrease the charge or decrease the overwhelm. So just taking it separate in your mind's eye, having a separation from this part. If you can, some people can unblend from the part. Some people say, nope, the part's not letting go. They're totally taking over my system, and I'm feeling anxious, and I can't separate. And if that happens, there's absolutely no judgment. I just invite you to connect with your breath until maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of separation and the part is now outside of your body. And so just imagining this part at a conversation distance from you. And sometimes people notice that the part takes form. So you can notice, like, the part may look a certain way. The part may be a color. The part may be a cartoon character. The part may be a piece of yourself. You know, maybe it's a younger version of yourself. Whatever the part is, just taking in that information with curiosity. And really meeting that part with curiosity and compassion. Sometimes when these parts come up, especially a part that may be overwhelming us or making us feel pressure, we may feel frustrated with that part, or we may feel annoyed with that part. If that's the case, again, there's absolutely no judgment, but I invite you to just kind of ask frustration, ask annoyed, to just kind of step aside and just allow you to meet this part with curiosity and compassion. Because we know, right, when someone meets us with curiosity and compassion, we feel safe. We feel like we can open up more. It's the same thing with our parts. So just meeting the part with curiosity and compassion and just asking it, what is your intention and purpose in taking over my Sunday? And then just listen. And again, I invite you, if you have a journal, writing down whatever the intention or the purpose of that this part has on hijacking your system on Sundays. Just write it down. Write down whatever comes up for you. And for those of you that feel comfortable, I invite you to write it down in the comments. I also encourage you to thank the part for whatever wisdom it's showing you. I think it's often a good connection to have with ourselves, that like a sense of gratitude when this wisdom comes through. And so while some of you are mustering up the courage to, whether or not you're going to share here, I will share that. So I met with my part that was, like I said, just worried, wanting this to go well tonight. When I checked in, the part when I said, "What's your intention and purpose of taking over?" And it was like, "I just want this to be worthwhile. I just want this to be worth people's time. I want them to be able to work through their Sunday scaries." And I thought, oh my goodness, well, that's a part trying to help me, right? It's just keeping it in balance. That's the secret of these parts. They are good. And again, the founder, Dr. Richard Schwartz, has a book out called No Bad Parts. And the idea is that all of our parts are good. They're all trying to work to balance our system and navigate. And a lot of them come from family of origin stuff or from a past trauma. And they really are trying to look out for us and help manage us. And they're all great in balance, and they're all great as consultants. It's when they work to an extreme that it's too much. So for me, mine, just wanting to make sure that illuminating the Sunday stories is worthwhile for everyone. Like, I thank it for that part. Then the next part, I'll move on unless there's anybody that wants to share anything about the part that came up and what its intention and purpose is. I don't know if anyone wants to share that. I'm going to wait 1 minute just in case you do, because I want you to have this opportunity to have it be witnessed and worked with. So just sharing what your part said when you asked it what its intention and purpose was in taking over your Sunday. I'm just waiting for the clock to to go 1 minute. I said I'd give it a minute, so I'm giving it a minute. Oh, we got one. Okay, so you got an image of a frazzled nowhere man. Let me see. Oh my gosh. Like from Yellow Submarine, the Beatles movie. He's a real nowhere man. Carrying too many bags. The reason they are there is they genuinely want to build up this idea and finish the vision for these projects to become successful. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Alex. And it just feels like it softens just knowing that, like knowing that this part is just like, whoa, it's just a lot of bags here. And I want to make sure that everything is finished in these projects. You've held this vision for a while. I want it to be successful. So just noticing that, maybe even thanking it for all that it's been carrying, for all that it's been trying to keep track for you. And Luke, thank you. So you're feeling anxiety for the week ahead, just for the full week of work, and it's taking over your night. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And I'd be curious what that part is trying to do as well. Like what does the anxiety part feel it's doing in taking over your system and taking over your night? You know, does it, I don't want to put words in its mouth, but a lot of times, I don't know if this is the case with you, Luke, and I want you to stay open to whatever your body's wisdom tells you, but it's interesting how I think a lot of times our anxiety does think it's preparing us. Like if we're not anxious, then maybe we won't know. And maybe even Alex, you're feeling that. Maybe like, hey, if I'm not anxious, I'm going to forget one of those bags and it's going to be dropped. And so how do we let these parts know, like, we've got it? Where, you know, Luke, for you, you've got this week. Like yes, you have a full week of work, but you've got it. You're going to be okay. And you're going to take it one moment at a time, one day at a time, and you can enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And Alex, you are going to carry out all the projects and you are going to, you know, do the best you can, step by step, action item by action item, right? How do we reassure these parts? Which is a really good segue to the next part. So just taking a moment right now. So Luke and Alex and anyone else out there that's being guided by this, and just reconnecting with that quiet part again. So just connecting with your breath and just having the part at a conversation distance in your mind's eye again. So Alex, maybe it's the nowhere man, and Luke, maybe there is some sort of image of this part that can be outside of you while you work with it tonight. And just noticing, you know, what that part is showing you right now. And also noticing if the part has shifted at all. Sometimes the part just wants to be heard. So when you just reflect, hey, I know that you're just trying to make sure that you have all of my projects, like almost like a personal assistant, making sure it has all of your visions and projects and creative ideas like stored. And just acknowledging that, or, you know, Luke, just acknowledging like, hey, I get it. You want to make sure I'm prepared for a full week of work. Whatever it is, sometimes just showing that part that it's heard and seen, which is what we need, right? We always need this. Our parts are a piece of us and they need it too. So sometimes just doing that helps it shift. But just noticing whatever it is. And then I invite you both, and who I so appreciate your brave participation. But anyone else that's out there, I invite you as well to meet with the part again and just explain, like, hey, I get it. I get that you're trying to help me. You're trying to make sure that I get everything done. You're trying to make sure that I'm prepared for the week. But I want to be able to enjoy the rest of my Sunday. I want to be able to utilize what is left of my rest as best as I can. And then I just want you to ask the part, what does it need to calm down and allow you to just relax and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And just listen. And I'll do the same. And just taking a moment to write it down. I just wrote mine down, so I invite you. It's always, I think, just being able to put it down in paper is just also empowering, makes us feel like we can work with it even more. So I always encourage people to do that. I know I have some clients that are like, I don't really want a journal. I don't really want to. But I just invite you to maybe consider doing it. And then you have that much more awareness around it. So just writing down whatever it is that your part needs in order to calm down and help you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And just in case there's anyone out there that's not getting anything, it can be a practice, it can be a quality or a characteristic, it can be a quote, it can be anything that this part is using to help you gain the wisdom of whatever it needs in order for it to feel less overwhelmed and less working to an extreme. I hope that makes sense. So for those of you who've worked with the part and maybe even written it down, I invite you to come back and just sharing whatever it is that came up for you in terms of what the part needs to calm down. And if it helps, I can share with you. I asked my part, and I was like, what do you need to calm down in order for me to just enjoy the rest of this? Because remember, my Sunday scary was around, and my Sunday story was around making sure that this was worthwhile for everyone. And so this part said, you're already doing it. You are in the flow. Trust your flow. You've got this. And I did. I felt calm. I reassured the part. That part felt calm. So hopefully, Alex, Luke, anyone else out there, you had something shift for you as well. And if you didn't, that's information as well. Don't ever hesitate in letting me know. I think every piece of information can be used to help. I'm just going to wait here a minute or so for those people to participate. I think sometimes there's also a delay in these. So I just want to wait. Okay. So Luke, you said, I feel like what helps my anxiety calm down a lot is closing my eyes and clearing my head of all thoughts and just listening to this. It feels like a weight off my chest. I am so glad that that's helpful. Yeah, it's true. A lot of times it's taking the energy away. This is what's coming up. And Luke, you can tell me if this is helpful. But what's coming up for me when I hear you say that is, closing your eyes and just focusing your thoughts on me instead of the Sunday scaries or the stories. It takes the energy away from that, right? Anything we give our attention to, we give energy to, we give power to. And it's really empowering to think that we can choose something different. And that's mindfulness at its core. Mindfulness at its core is like noticing okay, that's a story that's not helpful. That's a story that's not, you know, helping me at all. So I'm just going to kind of close my eyes, clear my head of those thoughts because they're not really helpful. And I'm just going to listen to this workshop right now, or I'm going to focus my thoughts and my energy on something else. And sometimes it's a different story, and sometimes it's a different thought. Thank you, Luke, for that. And I hope what I said was helpful. And if not, you can let me know. And Alex, your part needs comfort, reassurance that I will get it all done in the right time for me. Dedicated separation from tasks mentally helps a lot in trying to get stuff done in smaller chunks, even if it has to be one bag at a time. I love it. I love it. There's so much in that, actually. Um, there's the reassurance that it all gets done in the right time. I like that too. There can be so much pressure just in the time, like everything needs to be done yesterday, right? So I love that in and of itself. And then I feel like it gave you another skill, and that's when we break down our tasks, right? I don't have it near me right now, but I've talked about before on this that I have, as much as I've tried to go electronic, I have a handheld planner because if I can get, my projects and my ideas and everything on, you know, written outside of me, I know that I'll get to it at another time. And often what I do, Alex, is exactly what this part was telling you is I try to just kind of break it down into smaller chunks. So whatever that is. You know, let me think of an example. Okay, so I'm writing a book, Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us right now. And if I can just say, I'm going to work on this section of the book tomorrow versus I'm going to write my book tomorrow, like you can see, like it's already like, oh, I'm just working on the section about our stories and relationships. Like that's tangible that I can do. Um, I remember when I feel like it was when I was learning, when I was going to school to be a teacher. So I went to school to be a teacher before I went into counseling, and they called it task analysis, like the ability to take a project and break it down into different tasks. It sounds like that this part might feel a lot better when it's done that way. Um, yeah, Luke said, I feel like when you take time out of the equation and just do what you can do, it normally helps me to get everything done easier. Yeah. Yeah. Almost, if I'm hearing you correctly, Luke, it's like not focusing on the problem, but like taking action. I was just listening to Brene Brown. I'm listening to her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Once again, she's so amazing. And she called it dig. I want to say it was deliberate, inspirational, get on it. And so and the example she used, she was noticing when she was like feeling anxious about writing her book, and she was scrolling through Facebook and just getting more and more angry with herself that she was not, doing anything that was productive. And so she calls it, I want to say, the deep dig. And so DIG is, making like a deliberate choice to stop and then doing what is I want to, she said, like inspiring, what would be inspiring, and then get on it and then do it. And so the example she gave was she was having somewhat of a mental block. So she went and she watched a movie on Netflix, but it was deliberate. It was inspirational. It was intentional. And, she just went and she did it. I don't know if I just took us off on a different tangent, but I think that could apply here. And Luke, what you're saying, and it almost feels like also the idea of doing what you can versus what you can't do. And I can't remember if I've shared this skill on here before. I share it so much with people. But sometimes if you're up in the middle of the night, like maybe it's a Sunday night, or maybe just right now, a tool that you can use is writing down all the tasks that are overwhelming. So just writing down all the thoughts and the tasks and going through each one. And can I solve this now? And if you can't, shelf it. So it's a DBT or dialectical behavioral therapy skill, but I think we can all use it. Um, you can either put it on a shelf or put it in a prayer box. And if you can solve it now, then do it. Then you can do it. But if you can't do anything, then shelf it, put it in a prayer box, whatever. So that's another tool. I don't know. I went into like 3 different places with each of your comments. So hopefully one of them resonated and I'm not a fire. What is it? The fire extinguishers right now, where like all the advice and stuff is like pouring out of me and you can't even make sense of it because there's too much coming out. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, just I think redirecting our thoughts, getting what tasks we know we need to do down somewhere so they're there, and then knowing in small chunks we'll get them done. Oh, good. So Luke, a prayer box sounds like such a good idea. Yeah, I have one in my office. Because sometimes writing them down on a piece of paper and putting them somewhere. So I literally have like a heart-shaped box in my office, and I have some things that like really weigh on me, and you just put it there. And sometimes people just do the imagination, the mental visual of just like shelving it. And again, what works for me is the handheld planner, the hard copy planner. I try to go electronic, and you, Luke and Alex, you may feel differently. Those of you who are listening, you may feel differently, but I find that once it's written, it's like it's somewhere. So yeah, it could be, a prayer box, a prayer journal, a planner, something where like they go somewhere. But especially if you can't do anything about it, and sometimes that's what happens with these Sunday scaries. There isn't anything we can do. So thank you so much, Luke and Alex, for all that you shared. And I just invite you and anyone else who's been participating to take a moment right now and again, reconnect with your breath and just thank the part for all the wisdom that it shared with you. Maybe even assuring it like that you're going to use one of the many things that we talked about today. Just letting it know like, hey, I'm going to make a prayer box, or hey, I'm going to write things down and I'll do things in small chunks, or maybe it's even, hey, I'm going to just enjoy the rest of my Sunday and work with this tomorrow, but I thank you for all your wisdom. Whatever feels like the best way to kind of wrap it up with this part. And in addition to like what you're saying, maybe even just thanking again the part and showing some sort of gesture. So some people want to like high five the part, some people want to fist bump, some people want to hug, whatever. Some people want to say like, go do something else so I can enjoy the rest of my Sunday. Whatever it is, whatever feels like a compassionate way to connect with this part. Let it know you're going to continue to connect with it. And then just inviting the part back into your system, allowing it to just integrate into your system again. Just connecting with your breath. Feeling yourself supported by the chair you're sitting in again. And in this space, I just invite you to also thank yourself for giving yourself this time, giving yourself an hour on a Sunday to connect with yourself and to connect with these parts that may seem so overwhelming and so scary. And so just thanking yourself for that courage and that bravery. And just noticing the quality of air around you, noticing any sounds that you may hear right now. And when you're ready, coming back so that we can close up. And so I just invite Alex, Luke, anyone out there, if there's anything that you want to make sure that you take with you from today, whether it's one word or it's an action, anything, if you want to write that down in the comments right now. It's also something that I can hold for you as well. So whatever that may be. And while you're doing that, while you're thinking of your final comments or words, I just want to share, if you feel like you would love some additional support with anything that came up, just some other services that I offer. I have a podcast that you could check out, and you can be a participant, and it's anonymous, and you share a story that is binding you. And then singer-songwriter Shannon Ward and I not only create a space that's compassionate and curious for you, we also prescribe a song to help you transform through that story. So you can learn more about that here. And then I also have, I help people with letters. So through letters, let me see, where did I lose you? Okay. So there's a form that you can fill out that has you, you just write some sort of letter that, and then I respond with advice about how you can, sorry, I'm trying to do this at the same time. It's not helpful. Basically you write a letter, and then I respond anonymously, and, it goes on Instagram. And a lot of times whatever you're facing is something that someone else is facing. So then the advice I give is not only for you, but for also everyone else. So is there anything else anybody else wants to share? Anything that you want to take away with you from today? Anything like that? I'm just getting, oh, thank you, Luke. That's very sweet. So Luke is sending out a prayer that everything goes well for him this week and everyone else that's been on here. So I thank you for that, Luke. And I totally back you on that prayer. And, yeah, I'm envisioning and hoping that it's a peaceful week for everyone. And Alex, getting goals down so that they are out and planning to bite off smaller chunks this week, what I can do now versus what I need to shelf, as well as separating mentally through breath and reassurance. Could not say it any better. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that, Alex. That was so concise and eloquent. So thank you. Thank you again, Luke and Alex, for your incredible bravery and courage and participating. And it was just so wonderful to connect with you. And I thank anyone else that's out there and encourage you to participate in any way. And Alex, I like how you thank Luke. May all of us have a great week. That sounds wonderful. And I just posted the forms if you want to send a letter anonymously, and then I will give advice about a specific story, whether it's something that's related to the Sunday Scaries or something, some other story that you would want help illuminating and transforming. And last but not least, if anyone out there feels moved to do so, I'm so glad that this was helpful, Alex. Thank you. It is my absolute joy and pleasure to help you, and I'm so glad that it was helpful and comforting, and hope that you can now have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and go into the week feeling more empowered. Absolutely. And if anyone feels moved in making a donation, these are free, so there's no pressure. But if people do feel moved that they got something out of it and want that type of exchange, you can go to my website, jenniferhcarey.com/donations, and make a donation. But I am so grateful again, Alex and Luke and everyone here, that you showed up. And I hope to connect with you again next Sunday at 4. Okay. You're welcome, Luke. I'm so glad that it was comforting and helpful. And thank you for saying that. More than I know. Thank you. Take good care, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday and week. And thanks again for being here. Bye.